Welcome back to the predicted 23 for round 16. Coming up against the Dockers on Sunday. My name is Ari. It's good to be back. Let's just get straight into it this week. Time to inject some more youngsters into the lineup, I reckon. So here is the team in Max Heath. Rogue selection, I know. I'll explain in a second. Or maybe it's not rogue. We'll see what the people think of that. And the other one, Hugo Garcia, being dropped. Ryan Burns and Isaac Keeler. So let's start with the Max Heath one, because I'm sure people have a lot of questions about that. And I've talked about this on the podcast a little bit, but I'm of the opinion that we just have to trial it by the time the season's up. And I think this is a good week to do it. Coming up against potentially Jackson and Darcy. And even if not, I just think with the balance of the team right now, it's in a state where we can afford to do this. So a couple reasons why I think this needs to happen. First of all, we need to see if Max Heath has got anything. He's been on the list for 3 or 4 years, hasn't had a crack at AFL yet. He's clearly been getting closer and closer, having some good performances in the VFL, being listed as an emergency a couple times. So I really think it's time to give him a crack. And a big reason why we need to see this, what he's got, is because he's out of contract. So we need to know, are we going to give him a 1 year, 2 year, or potentially no contract at all? So I want to see that, but also we got to see how can Marshall play with another ruck in the side. We've seen it in the past, obviously, with Paddy Ryder, but Marshall's a different player now. So we need to see how does he go up forward. Obviously we saw this in round 1. It didn't look great, but I like to see it with again with a Max Heath type, because obviously if we do acquire TDK, there's going to be a lot of question marks over Rowe. Is he going to stick around? Does he play forward for us? Do him and TDK share the ruck duties? Let's have a look at what that could potentially look like for us. Because I think, it'll be good to know when we do need to make a decision on Rowe's future. So, Max Heath, I want him in. I think it'll just be exciting anyway. Another debutant. Would love to see it. Will it come true? Maybe not, but hey, I'm going to be ambitious this week. The other one, not much of an ambitious call, but Hugo Garcia to come back in. He's earned his spot back. I mean, he could have been in weeks ago, but just another standard game from him, which, by the way, I know it confuses some people when I say that, but that is a compliment, because a standard game from him is being one of, if not the best for Sandy. 27 touches, 12 tackles, another huge performance from him. So Hugo Garcia certainly has earned his spot back. I hope to see him injected back into the 22. Being dropped, Isaac Keeler. So, look, Keeler's got some really nice flashes. I think he may be out of contract at the end of the year. I'd expect him to at least get a 1 year deal. Shows some really, good signs from a potential key forward or key defender. But yeah, clearly he still has a lot of work to do. And unfortunately, I just think for him, if we were to bring Heath in, he's just going to have to be the domino to fall. Again, will we actually bring Heath in? It's probably unlikely, so he will more than likely retain his spot, but with the team that I'm predicting here, he would fall out of favour. The other one, Ryan Burns, which caused a lot of conjecture last week when I dropped him. I wasn't doing my research, apparently, by dropping him, which, eventually he did get dropped, but came in as a very, very late in because Philippou injured himself in the warm-up, which was shattering. But yeah, look, absolutely love Burns' depth for us. You can't question his effort or just the way he runs his guts out for us every week. But I think it's time to just open up this spot to give a youngster a chance. And I think it's one of the only avenues to get a Garcia or a Boxall or someone like that in the side at the present moment. So nothing against Burnsy. He's also out of contract. I expect him to get at least a year, potentially even 2 years. So yeah, falls out of favour this week, but will certainly feature at AFL level many more times for the club, I have no doubt. So let's talk about who's in contention. Some performances at Sandy, which, unfortunately, they went down after the siren against Collingwood's VFL team. So that was not good to see. But, I mean, Liam Henry kicked a couple of goals. I've sort of said my piece with him, multiple times on this show. I'd love to see him in, but it's hard to really understand or comprehend what's going on with him behind the scenes. At this point, I'm just thinking we're going to have to wait till next year or maybe even later in the year to see him. But hey, if he came back this week, that would be great. But if he was to come in, he'd probably be taking like a Dan Butler spot, which you probably can't drop after last week. So, still in contention though, so worth noting. Boxall, I'd love to see him in, but I think Garcia, if you have to pick one or the two, Garcia is probably just over him at this point in time. But yeah, had 20, a goal, 8 tackles, another good performance from him in the twos. And yeah, if you were to bring someone like him in, it would probably mean dropping like a Hunter Clark, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, Boxall's certainly in contention. Ari Schoenmaker, I mean, he's in contention every week. He's well improved, performing well, reasonably well down in the twos. I think for him, it's just waiting for a spot to open up, which it probably hasn't yet. But I certainly think his time will come. And Zach Jones, look, he's not going to come in, but it's worth noting he's playing well for the twos. And I think in order for us to keep selection integrity, we can't just be handing out games to the Garcias, the Boxalls. Right now, they're playing really well, so they'll earn that spot back. But I think it's important for them to learn that, hey, if you do drop off, we're going to give the spot to the better performing player, which maybe that's not good for the long term. Playing a 30-year-old instead of 18, 19, 20-year-old, but it sets a precedent, which I think is important for us to have. Jack Carroll, performing well. Look, I didn't want to see him dropped. He's like 21, 22-year-old. Played some decent games for us. Toyed around with him as the sub. I'd like to see him back in at some point. Maybe not this week though. Liam O'Connell, I think a potential change I could see happening. I'm not brave enough to put it through on my side, but it could be Jimmy Webster out for Liam O'Connell. Don't think that'll happen this week, but into the future, we spoke about on the pod as well, he will probably take that spot if he can keep improving year on year, which he has done so far. He's had a breakout year, on a minor scale. Of course, being a Category B rookie, not ever playing an AFL game. Now he's played, 4 or 5, and done so well. So he is certainly in contention. And he's not in contention, but just got to note, great to see Paddy Dow return to the VFL side, running around after, a pretty gruesome injury. Spent, nights in hospital, all that. So shout out to him. Great to see him back. Hopefully he can play some AFL footy sometime soon. Just a little injury update as well. Sounds like Dougal Howard might be done for the year. They've got him listed as TBC or TBD on the injury report, but yeah, not looking good for him. Also out of contract, I believe. So a lot of question marks over his future. We'll see how that one unfolds. Max King, officially done for the year. Yep, very disappointing. Another year riddled with injuries for him, but all we can do is stay optimistic and hope that he returns for round 1 next year ready to go, because I think just still he's been a good player for us, but he's still got so much untapped potential, and injecting him into this forward line would be really exciting. I can't wait to see him return. I think he cops way too much flack online. Obviously disappointing he couldn't get the body up this year, but I expect him to come back ready to go next year. Mateus Philippou, 3 to 4 weeks. I already touched on it. The late out. Also super disappointing. He's had an injury-riddled year, but hopefully next year he can just get back on the park, and we can watch him and King flying in the AFL side once again, holding their spots. I just spoke about Jimmy Webster. Hunter Clark, I had him out of the side last week. He ended up keeping the spot. And look, yeah, I desperately want him in. I've got him in if with everyone healthy, I've still got him in the best 22. But if you do want a Boxall, Garcia, these kinds of young players to play, someone's taking the spot from them, and at the moment it's Hunter Clark, And I want Hunter Clark to play. I want the continuity. I'm keeping him in the side this week. But I think his performance is probably just... He's not performing badly. He's probably, just around the average mark, which, not bad, not great. You'd want to see him just get above average so he can hold that spot, gain the continuity he needs, because, I certainly believe that he can be a part of the club's future with a bit of continuity, nail down that spot, and get some just play some more AFL games, which he's been deprived of these last few years. So that is the team for this week. Let's go through it from the full back line. Liam Stocker, Caminiti, Webster, half back line, Naz, Wilkie, Sinclair. On the wings, Wilson and Hill. In the midfield, we've got Steele, McRae and Windy, with Rowe as the ruck, obviously. Half forward line, Machito, Mason Wood, Max Hole. Full forward, Butler, Sharman, Higgins. And then on the bench, hopefully debuting, Max Heath, Hugo Garcia, hopefully coming into the side. Alex Taru, the Flying Viking, shout out to him, great debut, can't wait to see more from him. And Hunter Clark, Toby Travalia as well, holding his spot. He hasn't done much, but look, he's been the sub. I think I want him in the 22. I don't know whose spot he's going to take though, so right now I wouldn't drop him, but yeah, it's hard to find a spot for him to be elevated into the 22. So just keep him as the sub for now, I would say. And then Keeler, Henry, and Burns as the emergency. So that is the predicted 23 for this week. Hopefully we can get the job done. The last 10 games we've won 2, so hasn't been a great last couple of months. Let's hope to get back on the winners list. We played really well against Freo last time, so let's hope we can replicate that. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Go the Mighty Saners, and we will talk next week. Cheers, guys.